Hi there, and welcome to Ambitious Single Moms Stories of Strength and Success. I'm Sonja from Your Success Story Single Mom Level Up Edition, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful daughters, and when my husband separated from me in 2017, he moved out on a Sunday, and the next morning my mother died unexpectedly. During this time, I was although in the middle of chemotherapy. Suddenly, I'm all alone with 3 small children. As a single mom and a businesswoman, I know firsthand how challenging and rewarding this journey can be. When I first became a single mom, I felt overwhelmed and uncertain about the future. But through support and consistency, I've managed to build a life that I'm proud of, both for myself and my 3 children. This podcast is all about celebrating the incredible stories of ambitious single moms who are not only raising their children with love and dedication, but also pursuing their dreams and building successful businesses. Each episode, we will dive into their journeys, exploring the heights and lows, the lessons learned, and the strategies they've used to overcome challenges. My goal is to inspire, motivate, and provide valuable insights for all the amazing single moms out there who are striving to create a better future for themselves and their families. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and there are endless possibilities when you take charge of your life. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Ambitious Single Moms Stories of Strength and Success. I'm your host, Sonja Zipser, and I'm beyond excited to introduce you to our today's guest, Jane Misra. And yeah, she's another ambitious single mom, and she has so much to share with you. Hi, Jane. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Great that you're prepared to share your story. So we decided to talk about self-confidence without self-worth is not sustainable. But let us start with your background. Where are you from? How many kids do you have? And you told me that you were not divorced, but you are a single mom because you are a widow. So
Yes.
you can tell us a bit about your background.
So I am in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina in the United States. And I lost my husband to a Widowmaker's heart attack in 2017. So it was a very sudden, devastating 46 minutes of my life. And then in 2018, I reunited with the proverbial fish that got away from 20 years ago. And that ended up being a less than wise decision, as that person was a narcissist and very mentally abusive and also an alcoholic. And I have been uncoupled from that toxic relationship for about 10 months now. And so I am embracing being a single mom and a high achieving single mom.
Yeah, great. So, and how many kids do you have?
Oh, yes. So I have 3 children. I have 1 adult child who is married and has 3 children of his own. And so he is out of the nest. And then I have 8-year-old boy-girl twins.
Oh, great, amazing. So, yeah, we want to talk about mindset, self-confidence, and self-worth. And you told me in our pre-talk that it was also a gift that your husband died, if you can see it like that, because then you had the chance to grow more in your self-confidence.
Yes, I absolutely felt like we were both very strong personalities, but I felt like that since when we got together, I moved to where he lived and his network and sort of his world that, um, didn't have to dim my light, but I really, he was really in the spotlight. So when he passed away, I felt like I was really able to shine on my own and step into my own self-confidence. And so I had probably an 18-month period where I really had just leaps and bounds of growth and self-confidence, and really felt like I had, all the things figured out
Mhm.
until I didn't.
Yeah.
And the big lesson that I learned through my experience with a narcissist
Mhm.
was that, because I had never really experienced narcissism or narcissistic abuse, was that my self-worth was not fully grounded, and
Mhm.
that my self-confidence was on a foundation that wasn't solid. And through that experience, I realized that I really came into a really solid connection with my innate worth and worthiness.
Oh, and that's so important because so many women struggle with that self-worth. Just, for example, with their body, not feeling good with their shape and everything. And we also talked about sports and discipline and everything. But yeah, if you have too much weight on your hips, and there's so many women struggle and don't feel good with themselves, and they don't have self-worth, and then being a single mom, suddenly being all on your own with everything, I think then everything breaks into parts, and you don't know, have no confidence anymore.
Yes, I mean, I definitely, and because hindsight's 2020, and when I look back on it, when I sort of made the conscious decision that I was ready to date again, I didn't feel 100% confident and grounded in my self-worth. And I can look back and see where that was reflected in my choice of dating. And I went to something that was known and familiar, because then I didn't have to go through the uncomfortableness of not feeling comfortable with my body, or not feeling 100% confident in, my post-birth body, as it was. And I think that was really enlightening in hindsight to realize that.
Yeah, and it's also always about not feeling good enough. I don't,
Yes.
have you experienced that as well?
Um, Yes, I definitely felt like that I felt like I had to prove myself more, and I had to justify my successes, because I was coming from a place of being behind, of being not broken, but broken, because the family unit was broken, and I had gone through a trauma, and I had gone through a crisis. And I think that my relationship choice was a lack of self-worth way to put a band-aid on it.
Mhm. But great that you realized what what gifts you could take from that toxic relationship. So how did you manage to transform this, and how are you transforming at the moment?
um I think that it took me a long time. It took me a long time to get out of the relationship, but I just had this awareness that this wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I signed up for. It wasn't what um what I wanted my life to be like. And I started looking around, and I just didn't recognize my life anymore. And I just decided one day that things had to change, and I had to do whatever it took, no matter what, to to make it different, and to get back to what I saw as my normal.
So many people say, oh, I don't like my life, but they don't know what it should be like. Did you have a goal, a vision, or something?
I wanted to, I wanted it to feel more like it did, because even after my husband passed away, I was still able to find resilience, find strength, find joy, and I was happy. And I wanted to get back to that place again. I wanted to get back to where I felt joyful and I felt happy and I had fun and I wasn't always waiting to see what the next disaster was going to be or conflict was going to be. I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. And I just decided I wasn't going to settle.
So yeah, waiting is something that doesn't bring you anything. So I guess you took action steps. What did you do?
So the first thing that I did is I made the decision that I absolutely was going to get out of the current situation and do something different. And then the next thing I did was just completely immerse myself in mindset work and really work on strengthening my self-esteem, strengthening my self-worth, working on my mindset, working through limiting beliefs, healing the trauma and getting my body reassociated. I did a lot of somatic healing just because I don't think that I think that the narcissistic relationship actually brought back a lot of unresolved trauma from different stages of my life. And so I had like all of the stuff to sort through. And then it also happened right as I turned, I mean, it was right in the middle of when I turned 50. And for anyone who's familiar with astrology, right in my Chiron return. So it was just a really big process of surrender and dark night of the soul and just letting everything, like I just had to surrender and just let everything get as bad as it was going to get and then let it go and then rebuild. And it was really surrendering in that process because I'm very stubborn and I'm very willful. And so, you know, initially I was just trying to force it better. And I couldn't force it better. I had to let the process be what it was to be. And part of that was definitely not a midlife crisis, but it was really more like a dark night of the soul journey where I went through this period in 2020, 2021, which was also in the middle of COVID. So it was just a very weird time to begin with, where I really felt like every personal development milestone that I had ever gone through in my entire life was all coming back all at the same time and rearing its ugly head. And that I was like, wait, I thought I dealt with this. I thought this was resolved. And then I realized that it was resolved, but now I was resolving it again at a deeper level. And so it was sort of that process and pushing through that. And I just kept going. I can't say that enough. Like that's what got me through the first year after my husband passed away. It's just, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, no matter what, with just unwavering faith that this too shall pass and that it would get better and that I just had to keep going, no matter what that was, just keep going.
Amazing. I love that because I did the same work for me as well. And yes, sometimes it's not so nice because all the ugly stuff comes up, all the dark thing you mentioned. And yeah, but afterwards it's a great feeling. And sometimes it comes back a second time, even when you think, oh, I thought I had dealt with it, but it's a check, it's a test is checking on you if you were really through
Absolutely.
this topic. And yeah, but afterwards it's so great, but we have to face it once. And all the people, also your partner, the narcissistic partner, he was just showing you things and helping you to go through that ugly stuff. And if we could see life like that, it's just my opinion, everything it is much easier for us.
Absolutely. And I did come to a place of forgiveness and grace where I was able to kind of step back, and instead of being angry and blaming and regretting and having all of those types of feelings and emotions towards myself and the other person for having, the experience, I was able to look at it as a gift, because what I have today is, a rock solid foundation and self-worth that is absolutely unwavering, and absolutely a commitment to myself that I will not settle. And I got really, really locked in on my values and my boundaries, and how, because of my upbringing and because I came from an alcoholic household and because I had codependent tendencies and because I'm so empathic, that how I ended up in the situation that I ended up in, but that it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because out of that, I was able to have the awareness, recognize how I ended up there, and then really tap into the tools and resources that were going to get me to the other side. And then now, just like anytime we go through the darkness and do the shadow work, now that I'm on the other side, as ironic as it sounds, I wouldn't trade that for anything. I would not trade the person that I am today for the person that I was in 2018 at all.
Mm. Yeah, and you have to go through everything in order to become the person you are right now. And yeah, so everything had to happen in your life.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I was able to, where I was able to find self-forgiveness and grace for myself, is that I just reminded myself, like when I would feel guilty because I felt like, some of the informative years, the important years with my twins was tainted or taken away from me because I was sucked up in all this drama, rather than beating myself up and feeling guilty about that, which at times I did, don't get me wrong, but the way that I was able to reframe it and get out of that dark space in my head was just to remind myself, we agreed to this before they incarnated. This was all agreed to, in source before we were here, and that it's okay, and that it's absolutely okay.
Yes.
And then I also, with my ex partner, I came to that same awareness. I was like, it must be really, really hard to come into this world with the assignment of, you're going to be really, really awful to somebody that you love because you've agreed to be the catalyst that teaches them a lesson.
Yeah, I have the same believing that life works like that, with the soul and the agreement. And it's up to everybody to decide how often this agreement has to be repeated. So you took the decision, stop, no more. I understood. I'm done with that. I have experienced it. I don't need it anymore. I'm done with it. I'm going to the shadow work. But there are so many other people, not only women, men as well, who encounter every problem repeatedly, like being betrayed from the partner. And so some people experience it once and some 10 times, or I don't know how often, until they can see, okay, that's the feeling behind it. I understood it now. I'm now prepared for truly loving relationship, or whatever it is. And
I think that is like you just hit the nail on the head, because for me, I've had 4 significant long-term monogamous relationships in my adult life. And you know, of course, hindsight is 2020. And what I realized with all of them is that they were not completely aligned in my values and my beliefs and my what I wanted. And a lot of it was just proximity and convenience. And then now, because I'm much more grounded in my values and I'm much more confident in having boundaries and setting boundaries and enforcing boundaries, I would not settle for a facsimile of what I want. Like I want if I'm going to go into partnership again in my lifetime, I want it to be a certain way, and I'm not going to settle for anything less than that.
yeah, great. Amazing. So you also told me that you are at the moment exercising, working out, that this belongs to your shifting in everything, that you are still working on your mindset. So what is this program? What are you expecting for yourself?
So one of the things that I have learned in the last 5 years is how important the mind, body, spirit triad is. And one of the components of that I had neglected for many decades of my life, because I just didn't know how vitally important it was the body piece of it. And that, to me, my definition of that is your nutrition, your exercise, and your sleep. And I have a firm belief that we are souls that incarnate bodies, and our bodies are sort of like the vehicles for our soul. And just like you want to properly maintain your automobile, you really need to properly maintain this vehicle that is housing your divine self. And we're just not taught to look at our bodies that way. And so the important things to me right now with the mind, body, spirit part and the body part is to really get locked in on the diet and the nutrition and the sleep, so that I can be optimized to live the life that I want to live, and to have the longevity to make the second half of my life the best that it can possibly be. Like, I feel like that at some level, I spent the first half of my life figuring out how the game of life is played, what the rules are, what the objective is. And now that I have got a good lay of the land, now I want to really spend the second half playing the game really, really well.
Amazing. Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. And I actually started training again 4 months ago, doing yoga every morning. I only skipped twice. And I started running 2 weeks ago. Just 2,000 meters was the first run, and now I'm up to 3,200 meters. And I can already feel it in my body, and my whole condition changed, and I'm feeling so much better. And yeah, we at the beginning we started about our self-worth and self-confidence. I think that's the basics to start on your working on your mindset. But if your body is in alignment with everything, and you take care, and it's health and wellness, then that's a foundation as well. Because when you feel much better in your body, then all the other areas where you want to improve, it's easier for you to achieve it, because you feel more joy and happiness. And that's what you already spoke about when you were with your husband. You had so much joy and fun and felt so good. So you have to come back to that feeling. And for so many people, it starts with the mindset, but also when you start exercising and feeling very good and feeling home in your body.
Absolutely. And another point that I want to add to that is, for me personally, the hardest part of working out or exercising or committing to any big behavioral change is showing up. But what I also found in that is every time I showed up for myself, that increased my self-worth.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
it
You
really
know,
built that muscle, that just that
yeah.
that trust, and that I can be there for myself. I can show up for myself. I'm not breaking promises to myself. I'm being accountable to myself. And when you're accountable to yourself, you just automatically by default build your self-worth.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know, I see it like this, that we have, everybody has routines. It's also a routine sitting every evening on the sofa watching TV. That's some kind of discipline. So you just have to change your discipline, your routine, and make a new routine every evening, going for a walk, and then going for a run, doing Nordic walking, or really running. So it's just a change of a routine. And in the beginning, it needs more discipline. It's, of course, harder, but you it's not a change from now to tomorrow that you suddenly are a runner who's able to run 10K. No, it's not possible. But you have to show up for yourself, make a decision, as you said in the beginning. Make a decision. Okay, I want to change in life. I want to have a healthier body. I want to feel better, more alive, have more joy and fun, feel more, just better. And then I have to show up and go for a run, go to a gym, go swimming, or whatever it is you love to do. Not everybody
Absolutely.
loves to run. I don't like swimming. So another person loves to swim. So go swimming every second day.
And the other thing that I found in just the space of being single, especially at this stage of life, is that I found a lot of freedom in it, because for the first time, I could absolutely live the life that I wanted to live on my terms, and to really lean into that and figure out exactly what that is. And so it's been a science experiment. You know, I try something, and if it doesn't work, then I adjust it. I just this past week, I had an experiment with my sleep, and I was trying to determine, you know, what the sweet spot is, because as a single mom, our hours are precious, our time is precious, time management is a big thing, sleep is obviously a priority. And I did a test this week to figure out whether or not I could cut back 1 hour of sleep and still perform at the level I wanted to perform. And I found out that just cutting back 1 hour had a huge impact on the amount of REM that I got during the night, and that was not going to be sustainable at all. But knowledge is power, and you know, you can't manage what you don't measure. And so I course corrected and said, no, you know, for me personally, I have to have a minimum of 7 hours of sleep a night in order to get the required REM that I need to be able to feel vital the next day. And I have to reverse engineer everything around that. And I think that it does take an enormous amount of conscious awareness and discipline to really maximize life as a single parent, because we're juggling so many roles. But I don't think it's unsurmountable. I don't think it's impossible. It's just, and I literally started with the beginning of my day. And I worked on that, and I worked on it, and it's always a work in progress, but it's taken me, you know, over a year to really get that to where I'm like, nailed it. I've got that figured out, you know. And then now I'm really focusing on nutrition and sleep and water intake and body movement, and like, let me get that where I'm like, nailed it. And then I will move on to the next project, you know, the next aspect of it. And I think that that the ability to look at it as a science project and that it's just an experiment. And we just try something. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, you just correct. And then if it doesn't work again, you just correct and you just correct and you just keep on correcting, where I think as women and humans, we're really quick to go, oh, well, that didn't work. I can't do that. And get stuck in that limiting scarcity mindset of, well, I can't, well, it didn't work, well, I tried for 2 days or I tried for a week and nothing improved, and let me just go back to status quo. And you know, I'm not the type of person, I don't like, if everybody's zigging, I zag. I do not want to be the status quo. I want to be the 5%. I want to be the 1%. I want to be the one that achieves what I think is my life of that I dreamed of, that I always dreamed of.
Yeah.
And so that's the North Star, is to have that manifest in real life and not just be a vision in my head. And so it is a relentless pursuit of that, no matter what, whatever it takes, no matter what.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. So I could have a lot to share about that as well, but I don't want to break that energy. But I would like to know from you, you also run a business. You want
Yes.
to share a bit about that? What are you doing?
So I have a mobile dog grooming business that I've had for 8 years. And I have bootstrapped it from the ground up. And then I also have a side hustle, if you will, because you know, being a single person in a family unit in today's economy takes a lot of resources to live the lifestyle that I want to live. And so I do a lot of business operation, business growth strategy. I work with small businesses, female entrepreneurs that are scaling their business. I have a lot of experience in helping businesses secure VC funding, angel investments, and, you know, just preparing their businesses for infusions of capital, whether it be VC, angel. In the United States, it would be a SBA loan or private banking. Just getting businesses ready to grow and scale to the first 6 or 7 figures. And my whole take in that is just that, you know, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, the ultimate goal is to work on revenue generating activities and to transition from being an operator to an owner of your business. And in order to become an owner and not an operator, you need somebody to handle the back end, and you need somebody to handle the revenue generating activities. And if you're not in the position yet to be completely an owner and you're still in operator mode, you want to be able to work on revenue generating activities and not non-revenue generating activities. So, and the thing that I love about because I've had businesses, this is my 4th entrepreneurial venture, I have the ability to see the 50,000-foot view of where you want to go, but I also have no problem getting down in the trenches and figuring out an email sequence in your CRM or your email provider, working on your Wix website or your WordPress website, or, you know, getting down and dirty with your financial statements and a good Excel spreadsheet. So
amazing. Thank you. So do you have last words for our single moms out there? What you want to share with them?
I mean, I think that the biggest thing is that you have more support than you realize. You just have to raise your hand. Because I think that it's so hard sometimes for women to ask for help because they're afraid of the judgment, they're afraid of the shame, they're afraid of the side talk at the water cooler or at the baseball field. And you just have to let that shit go. I mean, you just have to let that stuff go. You just do. Because at the end of the day, if they don't respect you for saying, you know what, this is wrong and I need to get out of it, and then I need to stand on my own and find my way, then they aren't your people anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you, Jane.
You're so welcome.
So
Thank
thank
you
you
for
so much for joining us on today's episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. It's been an absolute pleasure having Jane share her incredible journey and insights with us today. I hope you found her story as inspiring and empowering as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts or any questions you have for our guest. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. All the links and additional resources about Jane and myself can be found in the show notes below. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you amazing content. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep thriving. See you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. Let's embark on this journey together and rediscover the magic in our lives. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode.